Hi, my name is Tabitha Burden, and this is a picture of my brother, Leon Lucas Jr. We called him Junior growing up, all the family did, and a lot of his friends called him Luke. But those that knew him to be a lot of fun, kind of goofy. If you didn't know him well, he was super quiet, but everybody knew him as a very kind person and very giving. He was the type of person that if you were hurting or you had a problem and there was anything that he could do about it, he would. Whether that meant quietly paying for something that you needed, as he did for me many times, or stepping in to help fix something that was broken or help somebody whose vehicle was broken down, he would do it. Anything to just make people feel better if possible. Our family was a military family. So there was myself, my older brother, Junior, and we have a sister older than him and a sister younger than me. And my dad is retired Air Force, and my mom was in the Air Force as well. And so we grew up all of our lives on Air Force bases. The military had a huge impact on our lives. Our friends were Air Force kids. We went to church with military families, and that was just our lives growing up. And from a very young age, Junior wanted to be a Marine. Not in the Air Force. He wanted more of a challenge. In his mind, he was going to go for something bigger, and he always wanted to be a Marine. In fact, when he was maybe in his preteen years, he and his friends would dress up in camouflage, and they would paint their faces and gather up all their survival gear, and they would go out into the forest or the wilderness or whatever, and they would conduct their missions. A couple years later, in his teen years, he was able to be a Civil Air Patrol cadet on the military base that we were stationed in, and he loved participating in that. It's kind of like ROTC, and he was able to do community service acts and even help in emergency situations, and that was just something that was right up his alley of his desire and his goal to be in the military. So after he graduated from high school, he actually didn't go directly into the Marines. He started working and stayed around home for several years. But when the attacks happened on 9/11, he refocused. His goal was to serve his country, and it was time. And so 6 months after 9/11 was when he enlisted in the Marine Corps. I was in college at the time, as well as my younger sister, Debbie, and his first deployment was in 2003. And I can remember so many nights at college, Debbie and I meeting up in the day room of our dorm and watching the news and just trying to hear any piece of information that we could about what was going on over in Iraq. It was a very surreal feeling for my brother to be over there in harm's way and us just to be at college, just doing regular life, surrounded by thousands of other college students. But at the same time, he was always on our minds, and the war was very personal to us and just very much on our minds and a part of our lives. He made it back from that deployment, and he met his wife, Mary. She was also in the Marine Corps, and so they were a whole military family, once again, next generation. And so Junior and Mary then had 2 little boys. They had Tyson, who's the oldest, and then after that, Zachary. And during those years of just married life and fatherhood, Junior actually deployed several more times. He deployed 3 more times after that. And the first 2 deployments were to Iraq, the second 2 were to Afghanistan. And during that 4th deployment to Afghanistan, Mary was actually pregnant with their 3rd son, Quentin, and Tyson was 4 at the time, Zachary was 2, but unfortunately Quentin never got to meet his dad. My brother, Staff Sergeant Leon Lucas Jr., was killed on August 1st, 2011 in the Helmand province of Afghanistan. And as I was preparing for this interview and just thinking about Junior, I was trying again to wrap my head around that level of dedication. You know, growing up in a military family and just that being our lifestyle, I thought that I knew and understood that kind of heart for service and that kind of dedication to your country. But the more I think about it, I don't think I do understand. I don't know what it feels like for a person to choose to do that for our country. I know a lot of people enlisted after 9/11, but I can't understand what it feels like inside to volunteer and say, I'll do it. I'll go put myself in harm's way. I'll risk my life for my country, for my friends and my family, and for people that I've never even met. And not only that, I mean, he enlisted after 9/11, and then he went over there several times. He came back, he re-enlisted to serve more and to be deployed more, already knowing full well the danger that he was going to be in and the risk that he was taking. And I've realized that if I don't completely understand his level of dedication, then probably my appreciation for his service and his sacrifice are maybe just barely scratching the surface of how grateful I really should be. So I don't know, what do you do? This Memorial Day, I'm just gonna try harder to be more grateful. And every time I think about him, I'm just gonna try harder.